Welcome to Business News and Other Shit. I'm your host, Amer Abdullah, and I'm sick as hell. But you know what? I'm still going to do this podcast, and you're going to have to deal with my nasal tone. Everyone listening and friends here.
I think it's kind of hot.
Oh, you think it's hot?
No.
Okay, I was going to say, I feel weird. What's up? Let's jump into this. Let's not waste time. Let's say hi to our main man. Actually, we'll introduce you last. Let's say hi to our main man, Chris, to the B, Rodhead.
Yo, that's me, Rodhead in the house.
What's up, man?
Hey, man, it's good to hear your nasally voice.
Oh, thank you. It's good to have you here, man.
It's good to be here.
Chris is rocking a white V-neck T-shirt. It looks like he just got done working with the mob and, killing someone in the back alley.
Yeah. It's weird that I would wear a white shirt for that.
Yeah, you probably would get that all
true.
messy.
They were an alien and they bled white blood, so
Ooh.
it made sense.
Guys,
At the
just
time.
so you know, Chris is in the midst of filming his first feature film that he is he's wrote.
I did write it past tense.
Past tense. You
So
did
I
write
wrote
it.
it.
You did write it. And tonight he's filming a scene that he's excited about. I'm not going to tell you guys where because it's partially illegal. What he's doing is illegal, breaking the law.
No, it's completely legal. He's going to Mexico to shoot this.
Wait, what?
The only way.
He's going to Mexico to record this.
Really? Are you? No.
It's about the wall.
So good luck on that film.
Thank you, sir.
Chris.
Who's paying for it? That's the question.
Yeah.
Mexico, duh.
Congress. Kareem Bazara.
Yes.
How you doing, brother?
Good.
You got the same white V-neck. It's not V-neck. It's regular neck, but it's not white. It's army. It's camo.
Yes, it is.
And there's another word for camo, isn't there? Fatigues?
Camel.
Fatigued?
Yeah, fatigues. You're wearing fatigues. Have you guys heard this term, anyone?
I have.
You have, right?
I've
Yeah.
never heard that before.
Welcome to the world.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yo,
What's up,
is
man?
it?
How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Quickly moving on.
Let's go. Please do.
I love you, bro.
I love you too. Sometimes.
Give us a beard rub.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our viewers think it's creepy, but you think it's nice. That was Lancey, guys.
Hi.
Hey, Lancey Richardson.
Thanks so much for having me.
What's up, brother?
I'm just chilling.
Speaking of shirts, this man's got a parts oil change shirt on. In case you need a oil change, call 662-419-4261.
That's actually an outdated number, but
So if I need an oil change and I call that number.
yeah, just Google Parbs. It'll be the only Parbs that comes up.
Now, where is this Parbs mechanic shop?
He's in my hometown of South Haven, Mississippi.
South Haven, Mississippi.
That's it.
Guys, if you're wondering what you're hearing in your earbuds right now,
Right.
it's South Haven, Mississippi.
Right. It is that sexy Southern accent coming through your radio waves right now. Or I don't know how podcasts work, but surely they involve radio of some sort.
Of course.
Now, Lancey, you don't look like you're from Mississippi because you've got this gangster New York hat that's kind of pushed
Exactly.
down above, just above your eyes. And so, don't lie, man. Why are you trying to hide your true identity?
Well, I do like the Yankees.
Okay.
I'm a Yankees fan, and that's. But a lot of what you're seeing right now is my straight street cred. Is what you're seeing.
All right.
They may not can hear that over the podcast,
They
but
probably don't.
Yeah, they're like, "Who is this guy with the street cred
Yeah.
coming through our?" While the whole family's gathered around listening to podcasts.
Which is how most people listen to this podcast,
Yeah.
by the way.
At least in the South, that's how we listen to podcasts by the fire and the we crank on a podcast.
Everyone's wearing a Snuggie.
Yes, exactly.
I had another thought there, but I'm not going to say it. There's a problem. I can be racist sometimes,
Right.
and so I'm conscious of it, and I don't know, like especially with like every day, I feel like what we can say is changing, according to like rules that are unwritten.
Right.
And so basically, I was gonna make like a KKK joke.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, they're sitting around the fire wearing their KKK hoods or whatever.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know if that's tasteful right now. That's not what I wanted to, it wasn't the joke I wanted to make.
Right. Well, I appreciate it that you didn't make it.
You're welcome.
Right, and it's really touchy when you have my accent, what you can and cannot say.
Oh, is that right?
Right,
Yeah.
I could say something normal and it sounds like a hate crime.
Wow. I'll have a large latte.
Right.
What the hell did you call me?
You say grande in here, boy. I don't know why the cashier also had a southern accent, but
It's a Starbucks in South Haven, maybe.
right, yeah.
Okay, I want to hear more about you, Lancey. I'm going to quickly go through what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about markets, what's been going on there. It's been a huge week in stocks. We're going to talk about how that leads into greed. I just want to talk about greed a little bit and some of our shadow behaviors around money and how it relates to greed. And then we're going to talk about Amazon, HQ2, down the toilet. We'll talk about that. And how my grandma, Zarifa, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago when this was announced, she had a prescient call. She was on this podcast, my grandma was, and she had a huge call on Amazon on what was going to happen to them, and it came true.
Oh.
Yeah. And then finally we'll talk about quote-unquote millennial socialists, this word that's been kind of getting bandied about, and what that means. Are millennials like really, banking hard to the left, so much so that they're moving, totally socialists, maybe communists, so on and so forth. We'll get into that a little bit. But before we do that, Lancey, so let's plug you right away, man. You run a stand-up comedy show.
Correct.
It's called The Comedy Tub.
Correct.
What an awesome name.
Thank you. I did come up with that.
Nice. I like it. Very catchy. And for you guys who are comedy fans and want to go watch a show, you can catch The Comedy Tub every Thursday at a place called Chicago Joe's.
Right.
It's a bar and restaurant in like the northwest side, maybe more north side. It's on Irving
Correct.
Park Road, just east of Western.
Just east of Western, correct.
Yeah.
Right.
So Chicago Joe's.
So if
Irving
you have your
and Western.
compass out and you're on Western,
Pointed
then go
east.
due east. 3 steps.
Maybe you should call the show East Western.
Yeah. And that would be even less confusing than what we just said. You're more likely to find Parb's oil change by dialing random numbers.
Likely. So yeah, it's great. So 8 p.m. on Thursdays at Chicago Joe's.
Correct. Yeah.
All right.
Affirmative.
Cool.
In Chicago, yeah. Don't get confused by that name.
And I met you because a dear friend of mine, Azhar Usman, was performing at
Correct,
the Comedy Tub.
yeah.
I went to go watch him and hang out with
Yeah.
him, and sure enough, I met you, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Who is this dude?" I liked you, man. It was fun to watch.
I appreciate
watch your
it.
set.
That was a fun night. That night. If y'all come to the show, don't expect greatness. I'm good once a year, and but my co-producers, Aaron McDavis, Nick DeLowy, Adam Bowman, they're always on the show. They're great too.
Nice.
So chances are you're going to get a good show, regardless of my 10, 15 minutes that I do on a show.
No cover charge, yes.
That's right. Yeah, it's a completely free show, so you can come. Bring a date, bring some friends out, and just enjoy yourself with some hilarity
Nice.
on a Thursday night. Free show, and then y'all can have some drinks, chill with your friends, and get some 75-cent buffalo wings there.
Well, damn, I like me some buffalo wings.
Hell yeah.
Suddenly, I'm talking with a southern accent.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's happened to me, Lancey. What the hell? Are you putting me under some spell?
It's contagious.
All right, so give me like what is ever since you moved to the north,
Right.
give me a sense of like a story or something that's happened to you based people misread you based on your accent or something. Is there something that's ever happened to you that kind of like put you in a predicament where you're like, oh shit?
Right. It's. I don't think it was. I think most times, and this kind of gets into my jokes about how people perceive me. But most times, I think people like the accent. They're like, this is cool. It does suck that it takes him 2.5 minutes to say a sentence. Because it's just slow.
What is that dribble coming out of your mouth?
Right. Yeah. Can you move it on? Move it on.
It's charming.
Right.
I picture the word Southern comfort comes up when I hear you.
Right. Yeah, it is. I do like the accent. I think it's great. And when I first moved here, you kind of feel like you're in a new city, big city. I want to change my accent. But now I'm like, well, I kind of want to keep it because that obviously a lot of comedy comes out of that.
Right.
The way people look at me. And I have the joke that, when my accent's fun and cool all the time except for voting season, and then in liberal Chicago it's wildly unpopular because people are like, please don't vote, just whoever you are,
Just get out of line.
right.
We don't need you voting for Bruce Rauner. Vote for the Fat Pritzker.
So but most other times it seems great.
Yeah.
It seems fun. I do wait tables though, just
Okay.
for fun because I'm killing it in the comedy game right now.
Right, of course.
But,
so much money to be made in comedy.
Right, yeah, I'm making tens of dollars a year. Tens of dollars a decade. But you can probably see my amounts in the market.
Right.
When I do a comedy show, you can see that market take a dip.
It moves.
Yeah.
Oh, it takes a dip. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Market just tanks when Lancey gets up on stage.
Right, yeah.
Do you do much in the way of investing? How much do you know about the world of investing? I'm feeling like some kind of weird hair on my microphone. Yeah. Do you do much in the way of investing?
I do.
Have you heard of the Dow Jones?
Yes, I have heard of that. And the S&P
Yeah.
and what else what's the
NASDAQ.
NASDAQ, yeah. That one's a fun one.
Right.
The NASDAQ. But I know limited amounts of them. I'm a good guest for like your average listener.
Perfect.
Because I'm not going to know a lot, but I do know a little. Like I have Robinhood on my phone.
Nice.
And
Our guy.
Yeah, boy.
so did y'all make some money when I said Robinhood?
They pay every time we say the name. They pay us $100.
Right.
I wish.
Y'all should hear a gold coin drop whenever. Yeah. Like a webcam girl, just cha-ching.
What's a webcam girl?
The millennials, explain this, please.
I have no idea.
Do you know what a
Cream?
webcam girl?
I mean, I'm assuming it's like YouTube where you can like donate to a streamer, and I'm assuming by the
It's a
connotation,
very
girl,
strong
she's
assumption.
Probably stripping.
Ooh,
Right.
That's a webcam girl.
Right.
She's taking off her
And
clothes?
I only know this from comedy.
Of course,
I've
sure.
never watched any video of streaming of any sort.
He has streamed in videos.
Yes. I would at this point, as long as I don't have to wait tables anymore. That would be great.
Now, so that's a webcam girl. So a woman will take off her clothes, and then like people will just contribute to like a Patreon or
I
something.
think they'll give them some money,
Jeez.
and then
Man,
they can hear it.
What
in
am I
live
doing?
time.
Wasting my time doing this.
Exactly.
You're not a girl.
Oh yeah. Thank you for the reminder. What do you? So thanks for being here, man.
Yeah,
this is,
of course.
This is great.
This is fun already. It's great. This is good.
Good.
Oh, I was talking about I invest in Robinhood.
Yes.
But so I'll just buy a few stocks here and there. I'll get every now and then I'll get like a Apple stock or like a couple of those or I think I've had Starbucks before. I try to get stuff that I use on a daily basis. It seems to make more sense to my
Right.
to my mind. But I'm sure you know so much more about it that is that a good strategy to use?
I think it is actually, especially if you like believe in like the product.
Right.
So if you're a Starbucks enthusiast, or you're like, you know what? No, I support this. I think they do. They do me right, and they do. I benefit from their product.
Right.
Absolutely makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Because then you're thinking other people may be benefiting from this too, and on a long-term basis, that's great because you'll start noticing like, Starbucks is kind of slipping.
Right.
Why is that bathroom dirty? And that other Starbucks I went to, the coffee wasn't right. I'm going to sell my Starbucks stock because I bet everybody else is experiencing that. So that's great.
Right.
And what I'll usually say on this podcast is, let's see. I struggle to pick stocks. I've tried it for years, and I'll have a winner here and there. But the reality is I'm not able to anticipate what's going to go up, what's going to go down, because Mr. Market has a mind of its own. It's like the weather.
Right.
So what I do is I recommend people to buy either a basket of stocks, so not just Starbucks and Apple, But man, look at all the products you're buying. If you're buying whatever Abercrombie and Fitch, buy them. If you wear this, so try and get 20 or more baskets so that you're diversified.
Okay.
In case Apple, shits the bed one day and you have a huge position in Apple over 30 years.
Right.
You just lost all your Apple.
Exactly.
You just lost $100,000 or whatever you've been building over 30 years. So I like to tell people, get a basket or, very simply, buy an index ETF fund like SPY, one of my favorites.
Is that on Robinhood?
Yeah, you can buy that on Robinhood.
Okay.
And basically what it's doing is it's allowing you to buy all 500 stocks in the S&P 500 at one time with one transaction, one push of a button.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you can get Apple. Starbucks is in there.
They have
Apple's
a
in
set
there.
price for that?
Correct. It moves every day according to the price
Right.
of the collection of the stocks. All the stocks are added up into one price.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know about how much that runs?
Right now, I want to say it's $270
Okay.
per stock. Now here's
I'm out.
Well, here's here's the cool thing. Robinhood's able to somehow parse it up and break it up into pieces where you can, if you just have $10, it'll give you no. Yeah, he's telling me no. I don't.
You're thinking of Stash.
Oh, Stash does that.
Yeah, Robinhood, you have to actually buy the full stock.
You do.
Yeah.
Thank you for
You're
catching me
welcome,
on
bro.
that. Every time we said Robinhood there, we kept getting some more coins and here's our webcam girl basically.
But we said stash
Cha-ching.
now, so you minus several coins.
Yeah. Now it's a webcam guy.
You're losing money on me.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt about that.
It had to be said, though. We can't go on.
That's right.
Right.
That's
But
right.
stash is the interesting thing. Do y'all know a lot about stash?
I don't know much about Stash.
I use Stash.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, me
I
too.
mean, I know as much as I use it, unless, yeah.
What is the premise of that? I mean,
So, like,
the
the way
most basic premise.
The way Stash works is basically you look at a stock that you want, whatever you're interested in, like a company like Amazon. For example, Amazon stock is like what, $1,500, something like that.
Is that right? Yeah.
Right.
Well,
I
maybe
think so.
1,300. I don't know what it's at right now.
1,600.
And
there.
yeah, it's pretty high amount for like your average person wanting to get into investing.
Yeah.
So like with Stash, what you can do is like you can buy a certain amount. Like for example, I invested $100 into Amazon stock, and however the stock appreciates or depreciates, that'll reflect on your $100.
Yeah.
The only thing is with those transactions, it normally takes a couple days like to sell it off or to buy it, or like a day or something like that. It's a much slower transaction because they encourage like long-term holding, kind of like not eager to buy and to sell something right away.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. So there's no day traders on stash.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
For at least buying partials, right? The
I-
partials are what take the time, right?
I think it's everything
All of
in
them?
general.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's a pretty slow transaction.
Okay.
It normally takes a couple hours to kind of like
Interesting.
verify or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. So the sum of what I'm saying is like, instead of having to pick the basket of stocks like Apple, Amazon, Starbucks, I just say buy all 500 of the S&P.
Right.
Whether it's Stash or Robinhood, get that and just hold that. And so we'll talk more about that in a bit. But that's what I mean, I think what you're doing is good, and I would say make sure you have a basket. Add another 10 or 15 if you only had 3 or 4.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, and with the how do you feel about the daily stuff? Like, do you do that when you invest?
Yeah, like day trading.
Yeah.
So I tried it. I tried it for some years, and
Right.
I couldn't win at it.
Right.
Like I was just like glued to the screens, watching the markets, reading the news about this stock and that stock, and hoping this weird random gas company down in Texas is gonna do this weird thing. And I was just like, this is, I'm gonna go bananas. You know what I mean? This is crazy. So I just ended up. This is in my early 20s or maybe mid 20s. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna start studying and looking for the long game. And lo and behold, it's been great for me the last 15 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I just slowly was putting in some money every week of my paycheck, every week, and it's built up to something pretty substantial, because we've had some booms and we had a bust, obviously 2008 recession, but even through all that, it just, because I just kept it in there and sat tight, it just kept going up.
Right.
And the point I make usually to people is, I think we're kind of into the markets now, is the point I usually make to people is our government is set up in such a way where they're going to do whatever they need to do. Regulatory, laws, the Federal Reserve, they're going to do whatever they need to do, Congress, to keep boosting the stock market. The moment that thing starts to tank or there's a problem with it, everyone's like running towards Congress, all the congressmen and women, and they're like, what do we need to do? What do we need to pass? What do we need to do? How do we need to fix this?
Right.
Usually what ends up happening is they kick some kind of can down the road and they take some money from people in the future. Like
Right.
they'll just raise some more debt and then issue a whole bunch. But the last 100+ years, you know, it's returned. The stock market has returned 10+% every year for over 100 years. Now, some months, some years are down 20%, down 30%, but some years are up 30%.
Right.
It averages out to 10% a year.
And overall, it's going up all the time.
Yeah, overall, correct.
Right.
Correct. The Dow is near its all-time highs. Right.
Right.
And so if you look at that with 10% a year, every 7 years, the stock market doubles on average, which means every 14 years, it goes up 4x.
Wow.
And every 21 years, it goes up 8x. So 10 grand you put in today, after 20 years, is worth 80 grand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was my mind blowing.
I was like, cool sound effect.
Thanks. Been working
So,
on it.
so let's talk about markets. So the market today's Friday, February 15th, the day after Valentine's Day. And
I got to go.
Poor Lancey's girlfriend. So plus 443 points today. This week the market's done great. 8th straight week of gains. We had a puking at the end of 2018. September, October, November, December, the market just went down, down, down. And then here we are in the beginning of 2019, and 8 straight weeks into 19. I guess 1 week in the last week of 2018, and then 7 weeks here. It's just going up, like straight 8 weeks now, straight up. And last week on this podcast, where you weren't here, Lancey, but last week I said, hey, you know when you puke a lot in the toilet, and then you're slowly walking back to the couch, and you're like, oh my God, I gotta puke again? Yeah, that's what's gonna happen with the market. We're gonna run back to the toilet and the market's gonna puke again. And the market didn't puke this week.
Yes.
So I was wrong. I guess the point, what I'm saying is like, the market's gonna puke at some point. Like, it might not be this week, it might not be next week. What my point always is keep investing no matter what.
Right.
You know, and you want to be ready to invest more in the midst of some kind of a puke. If the market is going down, you want to be able to have the courage to put more in at that time.
Right. It's like a progressive betting system.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Say more about what you mean by that.
Well, I think that's the right term for, like, if you're on the roulette table and you put $5 on red, and it hits black. So the next time you put $10 on red. Then if it hits black, next time $20 on red. So it will eventually hit red again. And if you keep doubling your money, you will win that back. Like, so if you win, so no matter how many times.
Sounds like you've tried this before. Is this what made you so rich?
The thing is the casinos know about that. So they have betting limits on the tables. So
Right.
you can eventually get to the betting limit and not win your money back. And also you have to have the courage to stay with it when it gets high.
That's scary.
If you're doubling down every time, it gets expensive.
What were you saying, Kareem?
No, that's just mind blowing. I just never thought of that.
Right. I mean, I didn't come up with that system. Obviously, somebody told me about that, but it is interesting that the stock market's kind of like that,
right,
in a way. But what you're saying is you can be horrible at picking,
right,
but still win in the long game.
In the long game,
if you bundle your stuff, diversify.
That's my point. It might not puke this week, it might not puke next week. With all the shit going on in the world, it's gonna. What I like to say, and this is from I think a guy named Benjamin Graham, Mr. Market is unpredictable. You know, you can't win this game if you. At least I'll speak for myself. I can't win this game, and I've tried to win this game. I can't win this game. It's a yo-yo. It goes up, it goes down.
Right.
You know, and I've got to be glued to my seat, staring at 4 screens to try and win that game, or at least have a shot. So the market went up this week. Why? I mean, 2 big reasons. I think the Fed pausing on interest rate increases is just such a big thing that most Americans don't appreciate or don't understand. And what I mean by that is the Fed was raising interest rates the last couple of years because we were at all-time lows, making cars more expensive because most cars are purchased with debt, making homes more expensive. Every time they would raise interest rates the last couple of years, lots of things would get more expensive. Businesses borrowed less money because interest rates were going up. But the Fed came out a little over a month ago, and the Fed was like, yo, we're not going to raise interest rates anymore. We're getting worried that the global economy slowing down too much, so we're going to stop raising interest rates. They were trying to like slow the economy down, land that airplane safely, but they've paused. And by the way, I don't agree with them pausing, but we won't talk about that today. In addition, Trump this week came out and said, yeah, that whole March 1st deadline where I'm going to raise tariffs on 200 billion more goods of Chinese products that are coming into our country. Yeah, I can push that deadline if I need to. If it seems like we're getting closer to a deal, I'm going to push that deadline and y'all don't have to worry about it. Market went bananas. They love that. They love that Trump came out and said we might be cool with China not signing a deal March 1st. And I've been telling everyone on this podcast, yo, get ready for March 1st because I don't think a deal's going to get signed, and I think the market's going to react.
Right.
And so we'll see what happens, but him saying that this week made us go up. He might say something next week, we'll go down. My point is the 60-20-20 rule that I like to tell people, keep investing your 20% of your paycheck every week in the market. You may not have heard of this, Lancey. I almost called you Chancey. That'd be
That's a Pokemon name.
Is it Chancey?
Yes.
I was
Nice.
going to say, with the way you wear your hat, I was like, I think he's the White Chance the Rapper.
That's what they've been calling me.
No, really?
Absolutely not.
I'm the first guy. All right, Lancey. So 60-20-20. So I have this basic thing. 60% of your money, when it comes in, let's say you make $1,000 a week, $600 goes to your expenses. Your rent, your food, your clothes, whatever.
Okay.
Utilities. 20%, $200, straight to the market. Divert it. Don't even let it hit your bank account. Let it go straight to Robinhood.
Right.
And just buy SPY or some other basket of stocks.
Right.
And then the last 20%, splurge. Whatever you need to do.
This is really easy for me because I make exactly $100 a week.
There you go, baby. Man. And you know what? The truth is, it don't matter. People say, like, I hear people say, like, I've got too many expenses. I don't have any money to invest in the markets these days.
Right.
And I'm like, it does not matter how much money you make. What matters is the philosophy of like, yo, we're just going to reduce our expenses by 20% and start reallocating money away from whatever we're spending there towards the markets. It's just, it's a quick way, not quick way. It's a smart way to be invested in the markets, building up your assets. And let me tell you, I think it was JP Morgan himself who said, there's something calming about having savings. And I got to tell you from personal experience, it's really true. Like it just kind of brings about some kind of a sense of peace that you've got a little, it almost increases like a person's sense of abundance. Like, yo, I've got some savings because I trust that there's going to be more coming in and I'll have this for a rainy day.
Right.
So 60-20-20 is what I'm saying. Keep investing that
60% food, things that you need.
Yeah.
Food, rent.
Yep. I've heard it called like safety. S.
Okay.
The stuff keeps you safe.
Okay. And then 20% straight
Saving.
into the stock market.
Yep.
And 20% savings.
No, 20% like savings/stocks.
Oh, okay.
And then 20% splurge.
Okay.
Whatever you want.
Cam girls.
Yes.
There you go.
Just be paying out the butt for some camp girls.
Literally.
No, yeah. No pun intended.
Out the butt, right into the butt.
Oh, man. Ba-dum-tsh.
Virtual butt stuff. All right.
You wanted to move quickly past that. Yeah. I sometimes put my foot in my mouth.
You know that
Or in my
80-20
butt.
rule. What the 80-20 rule, that's a popular one, right?
The 80-20, I mean, I've heard the 80-20 for many things.
For many things. That's like the Fibonacci sequence, isn't it?
Probably,
Yeah.
actually. I hear that for so, like I've heard, like, company executives say, like, 20% of our employees do 80% of the work. something like that.
Yeah.
You know, where they're
that
basically
seems like
saying,
a bad business owner. Like
he is. Yeah, he got railed for that one.
and he's like, I take 80% of the credit for
Exactly.
the 80% they do.
Or like, you know, if you think about 80-20 with the wealth inequality, like 80% of people, or 20% of people make probably the majority of the wealth, 80% of the wealth in the country.
As
if
a
not more.
comedian, I think that it is true, and this isn't a joke in itself, but I think that if you tell a standard joke, it's probably 80% setup and 20% punchline.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
So
mean,
interesting.
I don't implement that when I write jokes or whatever.
Right,
but,
right.
I think that it is something like that.
You know, that'd be smart is to the 20% part for the punchline. It's to remind me how important brevity is in jokes.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you got to rip out all those words out of the punchline to get straight to it.
Yeah. Exactly.
80-20 Fibonacci.
Needs to be however percent much shorter than the punchline.
Exactly, the proportion.
Than the setup. And,
Right.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, I'm a long game guy. I'm not a day trader guy. And I think also playing the long game plays into greed in a way. What I mean is like, as I moved into long game thinking with markets and money, I started to become more aware of how greedy I am. Because I was like, I want to get the hell out of this long game. I want to be a day trader, make money now. I want to make money now. I need to make money. And so when I started to investigate that and read about it and think about it more, I realized I started asking myself, what is greed?
Right.
You know, like, have you guys ever thought about what is greed?
It's good.
Thank you, Michael Douglas. Or is that Michael Douglas?
Yeah.
I think it is. Greed is good. Cream, what do you think greed is?
The desire to have more than anyone else at any given moment.
That's a good answer.
Okay. I'll take that. And not just money. More than anyone else in general. It could be anything.
Of anything.
Like laughs. I'm greedy
Right.
for laughs.
Yeah.
And it's actually, I think, makes me a little, it's a weakness of mine in comedy. I'm so greedy for laughs that, like, it kind of can come across that way sometimes. It's like you're trying too hard.
Right. Right. Yeah, it can hinder you a little bit if you're being too needy with the audience.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, what do you think greed is?
Karim kind of hit the nail on the head, I think.
Wanting more than everyone else?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's like an insatiable desire for more.
Yeah, more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we have a fear. I think fear. I think we're often like held captive by fear when it comes to money, and no one talks about money. No one talks about how much they have saved, how much they make. No one talks about any of that. And so these fears we have just build upon themselves, and they never get addressed. The light never gets shown on them, you know. And so I think we all have like, not we all, but most have a fear of like not having enough.
Right.
You know, it's like I'm afraid of not having enough. So no matter, they don't even think about how much is enough, and they just like, I just need more and more and more. And I think greed is kind of a reaction to that kind of fear.
Right. It is. And I think, though, that, you know, if you are greedy, you know, it plays on the other parts of your life, obviously. Like, if you've got enough to last 10 years or whatever it is, then you're kind of sheltered from the fear, you know. You're in a safe place, and you may not be as creative as you would be if. I think that's why, like, a lot of bands, they have their one-hit wonder, you know.
Wow.
Because they've written those songs when they were at a place where they were not making it. And then once that first album drops, they become famous, then they have that safety, and they're not creative at that point.
Wow.
Because then they're just going to have to ride that one song out for the rest, or that one album. But if you take like maybe the long standing artists, like, I don't know, the Rolling Stones, or
Madonna, or whatever.
right, or the ones that have been doing it for so long,
Bruce Springsteen,
and especially ones who do it and they've had hits throughout decades. I guess they probably have a way to combat that.
Right. They've they've shined a light on their fear.
Right.
You know?
They have to come up with a way to continue to be creative even when they are safe, at least financially.
Right.
And it's probably drugs.
Yeah. I've wrestled with this myself. Like
Right.
I had many good years at JP Morgan when I was on Wall Street, and I realized like I saved up some money. I was like, all right, I'm gonna try something different. We do something in entertainment, and I'll live off savings for a while. And the other day, it really became clear to me that like I haven't really dealt with this fear very well. My wife was like, hey, I want to use a career coach to try and like work back into my art and get back into things. I'm like, oh yeah, great idea. Like, yeah. And she said, hey, and then the next day, like, or no, a few days later, she's like, hey, I have my first call with the career coach today. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like, so what does a session like that cost? You know, like $75, $100? And she's like, oh, $200. I'm like, and I was like, what do you mean $200? What, you know, not even thinking that like this could bring her thousands of dollars. This could make her so much more like open mind, like it opens her mind to like all her options in the art world, you know? And I was like, I'm coming from a place of like fear right now.
Right.
And like we don't have enough.
Right.
And so that's when I was like, I want to talk about this on the podcast, you know? I think also like when my savings were higher, I realized at one point, there was one day I was walking home from work. It was like I was in year 8 or year 9. I was there for 10 years. I was like in one of my last couple of years, and I was like, oh, my bank account's healthy. You know,
And you were actually on Wall Street?
Yeah, I mean, yes.
In New York?
In New York.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Not many banks work on Wall Street, actually have their presence on Wall Street, the street anymore.
Oh, okay.
The New York Stock Exchange is there, and the Federal Reserve Bank in New York is there.
Okay.
And there might be 1 or 2 banks there. But they've all kind of moved out of downtown into Midtown.
All right.
You know, and so now Wall Street has become what's the word? There's a word for this where it's like you call it something, almost like not a misnomer.
Symbolic placeholder.
Yeah, exactly. There's a word for that. It's a symbolic placeholder. So
That
when you say
sounds good.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you sound smart, Kareem, for once.
I try my best.
That's pretty good. Thank you. Yeah, so it's like it's a placeholder. So like I was in Midtown, but then I worked for 2 years there, but then 8 years in Chicago.
Okay.
You know? And so one of the days when I was walking home, I was just like, yeah, I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm doing great. I got this big paycheck and big bonus. And it occurred to me that, like, it was so cold, and I just jumped in a cab because I didn't want to feel the cold. And I realized that I had, like, made a bunch of money, chose this career because I wanted to isolate myself or protect myself from pain or difficulty of like things like the bad weather or like bad circumstances or like loss or death or difficulty, any difficulty. And I was like, this is bullshit. Like I'm like living a lie right now. Like I'm believing that money can like solve that problem. And I was like, this is just my greed.
Right.
And when I started to become aware of that in those later years, I was like, I think I need to do something else because I think I'm doing this for the wrong reasons. You know, and I couldn't find the reason I wanted to stay doing that.
Right.
So yeah, I think we try, some people just don't think about what's enough, and they're afraid of not having enough, and there's a greed reaction.
Yeah, I think you can do that with like relationships too, You're trying to escape the human condition through something else. You're being greedy with that,
What's an example? Wait, again, is my relationship with my wife or you with your girlfriend, like what would that be like? Is that what you mean?
Right, yeah. Like I think like right when you first get with somebody, you're all high on the thing, and then the conservative part of you comes out like, oh, I'm gonna, we're gonna make this last forever, we're gonna do these things, do this, and you lose the initial spark,
right? And so there's that loss of creativity again.
Right. And if you're not creative,
damn.
then you can't. You got to be creative in a relationship to keep it going.
Totally.
Spontaneity
and
right, exactly.
I found this great idea on yesterday. I want to do. I promised my wife we'd do like a spa next week for Valentine's Day, so we're doing that. But I want to get her something on Valentine's Day. I was like, what am I going to get her? I was like, got a little time on my hands. Let me be creative. And so I found online this cool idea of getting a jar and putting on the jar 52 reasons I love you. And then on a bunch of little folded up Post-its,
it's so cute.
I wrote 52 reasons. And so each week she gets to pull out one reason. And she loved, like, it was great. She loved it. I was like, man, that's the first time I've been creative like that. What the hell? And I realized with all these $200 career coaching sessions and all this other stuff, we're just spending money on them, and the money, like the savings is going down. I'm like, shit, maybe I'm getting more creative with less money and taking more risks and be like, we gotta just do this shit,
Yeah, I think so. I think any amount, obviously we've heard the phrase "mo money, mo problems," right? We've heard this, and this is supposed to be true, but I think it's any more than whatever that set. They have a number of how much you should make a year to be the optimal amount of happy.
72,000. Well, this is like 3 years ago. $72,000 for a family of 4.
Really?
Right. So I think that the phrase should be altered: "Mo money, mo problems," any more than 72,000 with 3 kids. Because seriously, like if you get any more than that, then you are actually getting in the greed zone. And if you have any less than that, you're getting into the unhappy because I don't have enough to whatever pay the light bill zone.
Right,
Or
right.
Or buy.
Yeah,
Well,
I've also heard like, and I believe in this. Like I try and think about my material bank account in comparison to my spiritual bank account.
right.
And if those are out of whack, out of balance, like there's too much money in the bank account and I'm just not doing anything spiritually, I'm not gonna feel. I'm out of balance. I'm not gonna feel right. Spontaneity's probably down. Creativity's probably down.
Yep. And I think that's why, like, I think at just about every religion, like the leaders of the religion take a vow of poverty, so that doesn't get in the way of
Wow.
of your spirituality,
Yeah.
or your creativity.
Keep them
or,
sincere.
Right. Yeah.
That's powerful, man. Man. All right, I'm just gonna cut you all a check each for some money. I need to get rid of my money.
This is what I was
Gladly
getting
take
to.
it.
You guys have convinced me.
I'll put 20% of it to the stock market, 20%.
And just splurge. So yeah, I guess we'll finish up with this greed thing. I think the moral of what I'm trying to say is like, look, join me in looking at our fear dead in the eye. This fear of not having enough. This fear of, if I don't have money, I'll have pain and difficulty. If I don't have this much money, this $200,000 or $1 million, whatever, crazy goals or. I think a lot of people also are afraid of they won't be loved or seen by their significant other or their parents or if I don't make money. And so look that fear in the eye and realize that those fears are driving greed. And that could throw balance off. And so that's where we talked about this before, Chris, shadow beliefs. Some of those beliefs can be driving the fear, which drives greed. And that could throw you off balance.
Quick question.
Well, yeah, what's up?
So it seems to me fear is like the opposite extreme and greed is the opposite extreme. Is there like a...
No, I don't know if they're opposite extremes. Yeah, I guess they could be opposite extremes. Like
That's
if
how
you're
I'm
super
kinda seeing it,
scared
yeah.
of not having enough and you're super, super scared, it could, I suppose, paralyze you and you could be free. You could freeze. Like fight, flight, freeze.
Mhm.
You could freeze. And you're like, I'm just not going to do anything. And then the other opposite extreme could be like, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to fight, greed. Like, let me just make money everywhere I can find it,
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm seeing it. And I was going to ask, do you think there's what the middle would be?
That's, I think, what I'm inviting all of us to, find is that middle. And I suppose one way to seek that middle is to look at my spiritual bank account. Like, how much am I giving? How content am I with my life? Like with what I do have? How grateful am I? Like, do I feel gratitude regularly? And if I don't feel those things, then I'm probably out of whack, and I need to build up my spiritual bank account and worry less about making money. Like maybe I'm spending too much time thinking about money and making money. Spend more time on those spiritual things.
Gotcha.
Right.
That's for me.
I gotcha. Okay.
Does that resonate with you, Lancey?
Yeah, that does. I forgot what I was gonna say.
All good, man.
Oh, what I was gonna say is I think like being a day trader, like you were saying, you wanted to be a day trader.
Right.
It's kind of got that sexiness to it, like, oh, I'm gonna run. But if you've ever met an actual day trader, not sexy.
No. They usually. I remember once I met this one dude. Holy cow, man! He had his posture was like all bent out of shape. He had one leg crossed over the other leg. He had this. Let me show you. He was always like this. She had that look. I hope the camera's catching me. And it's like, dude, and he had like bumps and acne and stuff. And I was like, this dude is just glued to these computers and screens.
Right.
And it's like, I
He's
think
actually
that's...
becoming part of the market right now.
Yeah,
he's leaving his human body and becoming part of the market.
He's literally Mr. Market.
Right. Have you ever seen the movie Pi?
No.
It's been years since I've seen it, but it's kind of a artsy movie. But he takes some sort of drug and then he starts predicting the stock market. It's interesting to watch, at least.
That's cool.
Interesting visually.
I mean, the market it's a beast. It's a beast that is driven by a huge collection of human beings globally buying and selling.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think a person taking drugs or whatever, you can feel it. Like I used to have to feel the market when I used to work at JP Morgan. I'd be like, all right, what's going to happen here? And I have to make an opinion and a call. You know, you feel it out. You're reading everything and you're feeling it. And, you know, doing that in a way, feeling it out in a way for the purpose of like, I'm going to make my income doing this is a whole nother
Right.
game. It's just way more difficult.
Well, speaking of the casino again, I mean, have you ever heard the term playing on scared money?
No.
So like in the casino, have y'all heard that? Playing on
I've never heard
scared
it.
money.
I think they only use that at Mississippi casinos.
Yeah, which we do have Tunica, Mississippi down there.
Tunica?
Mm-hmm. That's a
Biloxi
cap-
too, right?
Yeah.
Do
Yep.
they have a casino down there?
Mhm. They do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so playing on scared money is like if you go in there and you're like, I can't lose any more money, but like you're scared to lose this money, you're gonna lose it.
Absolutely.
And we know this just through experience in life.
Right.
But
You tiptoe into something.
Right.
That dog will smell it from a mile away
Yeah.
and just bite you.
yeah, and you can feel that coming, just
Right.
like the market.
Right.
If you're scared with that money, it's going to be, you know, the person in there with, you know, $10 million and they're with a $100 stock, they're going to win every time.
Right.
But the
Right.
person with, you know, $102
Whew.
is going to lose that $100 stock
Absolutely.
every time.
Absolutely. They're walking in that casino. They're just afraid.
Right. And that's just a life fact.
Yes.
It's not about the market or anything else. It's about life.
Right. Right. Greed. Check out your beliefs. Get balanced. Look at your spiritual bank account versus your material bank account. What's up? Let's move on. Amazon HQ2. So 7 or 8 weeks ago, maybe a little more, my grandma Zarifa came on. Lancey's probably like, did your grandma really come on? More like, did your grandma really come on?
I think that's cool.
Right? My grandma has passed away, but her
I'm
spirit
sorry to
came
hear
on. This
that.
is a long time ago. Thank you. But her spirit came on. So I I perform her.
Oh, okay. All
and,
right.
and she
We
said
use a Ouija board.
we bring out a Ouija board and bring my grandma out. Nice. And so she made a big call. She was basically like, Amazon for the last year has gotten proposals from 200 different cities to build their second headquarters. And they made this big hubbaloo. What is the word? I don't even know. Anyone know the word?
Hubbaloo.
Hubbaloo?
Hubbaloo.
Hullabaloo.
Hullabaloo.
Oh, yeah, that's
It's a Mississippi word. That's why he knew it.
Yeah.
Commotion.
Hullabaloo. Commotion? Yes, thank
Right.
you.
You're welcome.
Hootenanny.
Amazon Hootenanny, yeah.
Hold down.
So yeah, the Amazon did this big hullabaloo about HQ2, and she's like, anytime people want to make a big stink about something, it usually means they're on their way down, you know? And so Amazon came out and picked Virginia and New York City as where they're going to build their HQ2. Virginia's still happening, but where they were trying to build their one in New York City, where they're going to bring 25,000 jobs, there's been a huge amount of blowback from the local politicians and from just, you know, the people who live in Queens. And what that, you know, they're worried about what Amazon's going to do to having all these people come in is going to do to their transit system. So it was a $2.5 billion plan on Valentine's Day that Amazon decided to break up with New York City.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Which I think is fine. I think New York's going to make it.
And New York's going to be fine. That's right.
And Amazon's going to make it. So this is
Both will be just fine.
a win-win.
Yeah, maybe.
And maybe Amazon can go to somewhere, a town that could use it more.
That's right. That's right.
But when you go to New York, I mean, as you know from living there, they've kind of got their own culture, their own way of doing things, and they don't want other people coming in. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's any Walmarts on Manhattan for sure.
Probably not. Just like City of Chicago, I don't think it has any Walmarts.
Right. They have like Walmart City
Express.
Right.
Yeah.
Some smaller version of it, but I don't think there's even that in New York.
Oh, wow.
So I think they're very protective of their the New York culture that they're trying to. But take it to a place like wherever and a smaller town where they could use that.
Yeah. I mean, Virginia, this city they picked in Virginia, I forget the name of it, but it's kind of a lifeless city. Like they would really, really benefit.
Take it to Detroit.
Oh, I wish Amazon. I mean, look, they like New York because it's a creative bubble. It's a hustle bustle. They're gonna have a lot of tech people. They would have had a lot of tech people working there. So, and they need a transit system and things that work for it. But you're right. A lot of these cities would still work. I guess basically Amazon pulled out at the end because they were worried about political opposition to all the subsidies they were getting. They were promised $3 billion in incentives to come to New York City. And I think that's where all the political opposition came. By the way, it's in Queens, which is where Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, this far-left congresswoman, that's where I don't know if it's in her district specifically, but her district is in Queens. So this millennial move to the left, this more socialist move, it kind of worked against Amazon. If you think about it, Amazon was like, they're probably thinking like 20, 30 years ahead. They're like, are we really going to build a headquarters here with all this opposition on day one? So, they are the most valuable company in America, I believe right now, getting $3 billion in incentives. So from an image perspective, it does look pretty shitty. You know, like, hey, we're a $750 billion company. I'm Jeff Bezos, the richest guy in the world. And yeah, we're gonna take $3 billion from New York City, and it's like, damn.
Is he the richest in the world right now?
He is.
Wow.
Even after his pending divorce, he'll still be right up there.
When did he become the richest?
I don't know. Probably last year, I want to say.
Oh, it's recent.
Because their stock price really started skyrocketing in the last 12 to 18 months, which he owns like a third of the company or something. So his net worth went to $150 billion.
Wow.
Bananas.
150 billion.
Now, mind you,
so he's going through a divorce.
That's right. They announced a divorce last month.
Oh, so maybe his spiritual bank account is not as high as his.
I think you're probably right. I know how I know that for sure. Did you hear about all these this story between him and Trump and the Inquirer? They had all these pictures of him.
Mm-mm.
Oh yeah, there's this whole drama going on right now.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Is him and Trump feuding or?
Yeah, the richest man and the most powerful man are in a feud right now.
Well, I figured Trump would probably not like that he's the richest.
Of course.
Bezos, and Trump probably doesn't like Bill Gates either.
I guess,
but he's poor. He's only got 85 or 86 billion.
And Bill Gates isn't in the news all the time as much as Bezos is, right? Bezos is like, he's kind of getting up there in pop culture.
Yeah.
Bill Gates is kind of like 1990s.
Bill Gates is the Michael Jordan of
totally
rich people.
Yeah.
Bezos is the LeBron right now.
Exactly. There you go. That's perfect.
And Trump he's only got $3 billion, right?
Yeah, something small.
I love talking about
Trump
$3 billion. That's nothing.
Trump would be like the Dennis Rodman of all these.
Probably.
Rodman, Jordan.
Yeah.
Rodman, Jordan, and LeBron.
Yeah. Another Celebrity Apprentice person on there.
Exactly.
Right.
So Bezos, the day after his divorce was announced, the National Enquirer published a whole lot of photos of him cheating on his wife with a woman named Lauren Sanchez. Now, by the way, this woman, Lauren Sanchez, I did a little homework on her after our last podcast. She was dating a dude named Anthony Miller from the NFL. I never heard of him. But from Anthony Miller, she upgraded to Derek Fisher, Los Angeles Lakers player and coach. Coach, I think, of the Knicks. And then
Used to be. Right.
Thank you. Then from Derek Fisher, she dumped him and went to a dude named Henry Simmons. He's a guy named, I think his name is Mac or something, on NYPD Blue. Does anyone know who this guy is? Anyone watch NYPD Blue? Yeah, I don't know. So then she went from Henry Simmons to a dude named Peter Whitesell, the co-owner of William Morris Endeavor.
Okay.
She was with that dude for 13 years.
And this is the wife or the mistress?
The mistress.
This is the mistress.
Bezos'
wow.
mistress. Whitesell, the guy who runs Endeavor, introduces Lauren, his wife, to Bezos at a party a year or two ago. And, you know, the rest is history.
Wow.
Yeah.
To say the least, she knows how to talk to rich people.
I mean, she should have a master class.
Yeah, I want to buy stock in her.
Right.
This
Can
is
someone
soaring.
check Stash and see if there's a Lauren Sanchez ticker?
On it.
That reminds me of Wolf of Wall Street when he meets the blonde girl.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Who he later became his wife, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the actress's name that
Played that?
Yeah, what was her name?
I don't remember.
I can never remember her name. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh.
she's famous now at least.
Yeah, probably from that movie, maybe. The best part of that movie, by the way,
When
is
she gets naked. Hell yeah.
Is that Margot Robbie?
Yes.
That's it.
oh, that's Margot
Finally
Robbie.
remembered
Okay.
it.
There you go. Well done. On the spot too. Now, so Bezos hooks up with his mistress. National Enquirer somehow hacks his phone. This is Jeff Bezos, guy who runs Amazon, who should, like, all his cloud computing is probably unhackable, but his phone got hacked. He does an investigation to figure out how his phone got hacked. Finds out that it was politically motivated, not journalistically motivated from the National Enquirer.
Oh,
And so he suggested Trump had something to do with it.
nice.
Yeah, and so the National Enquirer is like, hey, you better stop saying that. We got more dick pics of you. And if you don't stop saying it's politically motivated and Trump's behind it, we're going to publish these dick pics. And Bezos is like, boom, go ahead and publish them. I got evidence that it is politically motivated. I'm going to give this to the feds. They're going to take you down, National Enquirer. And, hey, maybe take Trump down, too.
Wow.
That shit's going on.
I'm actually more surprised that the National Enquirer had a real story. Like, doesn't it seem like... I thought that was totally made up.
That's a good point. This was actually true.
Wow.
But they've also been on some sort of like a gag order or something, or some sort of like restriction that the National Enquirer cannot. After the whole Stormy Daniels drama, they're not allowed. Like there's a plea bargain. If they do anything wrong, then they're gonna be put in jail or whatever.
Oh, wow.
And so
on
this
probation.
they're on probation. Yeah, so they've done something wrong. It appears here, and they're gonna be going down. But so Bezos is super distracted right now with a lot of shit going down. And so this whole HQ2 thing, there's been a whole lot of backdoor deals happening the past week with Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, and with the mayor of New York, de Blasio. Bill de Blasio, is that his name? I think so, yeah. And Bezos wasn't in New York at any of these meetings, right? Like HQ2 is about to become a big headline, but Bezos wasn't there. And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, yo, if I'm an investor in Amazon, I'm starting to get a little worried about Amazon because Bezos is a hands-on manager. Like Amazon is Amazon because of Jeff Bezos.
Man,
Yeah.
it's so crazy that such a huge company can be, especially in this day and age, can be taken down with, a extramarital affair.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Capitalism, baby.
Yeah. Back when JFK was sleeping with Marilyn Monroe, I read that in the Enquirer. I don't know if it's true. But, I mean, back in those days, everything was hush-hush,
Right.
And these big wigs,
They did their thing.
yeah, they just did it, and everybody was like, well, that's business.
Right.
And then,
How did that whole scenario go down?
The Marilyn Monroe thing?
JFK was like, hey, why don't you send Marilyn over?
I
like, okay.
want Marilyn.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
And his assistants were like, yeah, sure. Like, she'll come by for tea or something. And then they have tea and just
Take
get
off the
it
clothes.
on and, like,
Yeah, in the Oval
that's
Office.
just-
They
they're
take
just
their
like,
clothes off.
All right.
Did I go too far with that?
They take off their clothes.
That's how it works, Chris.
He's not asking how sex works.
Oh. Wasn't sure.
Actually, I was. That was the
Well,
real
when two people love each other very much.
I'm in.
Chris.
I see it.
That's a great point. I don't know. Maybe Lancey knows.
About how he...
Hooked up with Marilyn.
It was on Tinder, actually.
They literally set two pieces of wood on fire.
With friction.
Rubbing them. They rub the wood. They rub their woods together.
His morning wood.
Right, which rises at a certain... All right, we're getting in,
Hey,
inside of
I like
baseball.
that. So Yeah, you're right. I mean, the extramarital affair can just bring down a whole. I mean, it hasn't brought down Amazon. We're going a little extreme, but it just doesn't feel right now. So if I'm a betting man and I had a bunch of stock in Amazon, I would be advising people against putting more money in and maybe even selling a little bit, reducing my position. Do you own any Amazon?
No.
Anyone
No.
here own Amazon?
I do.
I do.
Yeah.
I don't know if I do.
All right, I would check Kareem.
That's a good
Now,
idea.
hurry.
He drives a Porsche Cayenne, so I'm pretty sure he owns some.
Damn.
Nice.
Did Amazon deliver that Prime?
No.
Same day delivery, Cayenne?
Sure, yeah.
That's why he invested
it
in
came,
the Cayenne.
It came in like a small box, and you add water, and you leave it outside for a few hours, and then just.
3D printer Cayenne one day, hopefully. So Amazon got some pretty serious blowback. I think Amazon in general, not just New York City, this whole hullabaloo that they created, if it wasn't such a big hullabaloo, my grandma was right. If it wasn't such a big hullabaloo, it probably wouldn't have gotten this much pushback because everyone heard about it and read about it. And, it was just in the papers every day for a year. It's like, oh, man, they have a bullseye on their back. And they did, But if it would have been more on the DL, like most other corporations, if it would have just been, hey, we're just expanding corporate headquarters. If it wasn't this big marketing thing, it probably wouldn't have had this. Oh shit! And so that takes us. So I think Amazon's kind of turning into Walmart, to bring back that reference. I think that's a reason why you want to start to hesitate. I would be hesitating with Amazon because it's having that pop culture feel to it a little more. It's not this tech company that's trying to do more than just make money. No, I think they're basically just trying to make money. You know what I'm saying?
You think they're getting greedy?
I think they're scared that they don't have enough money and they're
Right.
getting greedy. I think that's
Yeah.
right.
Okay, so your point about what's her face, Sanchez?
Yeah.
Okay,
Lauren
so
Sanchez?
Bezos is clearly like the smartest man alive. How does he not see that she's like stepping stone rich people to him, and the second someone richer, famouser, or like more penis looking than him comes along, she's gonna jump ship?
I don't think Bezos did the homework I did on her.
Seriously?
You could have just like asked Alexa.
That's a good point. Alexa, how many people has my mistress been with before me? Jeff, just go bang her and shut up.
Well, I think Jeff, he may not be as emotionally intelligent as somebody on the streets.
Bang, bang. Lancey from Mississippi comes in with the win. That's
Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this takes us to like millennial socialists, right? This term I was talking about. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, congresswoman from Queens, youngest woman in Congress, youngest woman ever in Congress. She's banking hard left. I mean, I don't think she identifies as a communist, but she's going in that direction.
Socialist, I think she identifies.
Definitely
as.
socialist.
Yeah.
And frankly, it makes sense that she's banking left and the millennials are banking left and going left because inequality just keeps expanding. So, of course, the have-nots are going to want more socialism. I mean, does everyone know what communism and socialism kind of... Do you guys all have an idea? Kareem, do you have an idea what it is?
Like same for all. Like
Yeah.
Like split everything amongst everyone.
Communism comes from the word common. So, like, common ownership of everything. So, like, right now, Bezos and others own all the levers of production. But in a communist thing, we would commonly own Amazon. We'd all own Amazon. And so it'd almost be like income would all be equal pay, equal, and so, with healthcare for all, that's moving in the direction of socialism. With, so that's kind of where we're going. And I think the point I want to make is even though we're going left and the whole country feels like it's going left, most the political class and people all involved in politics, they're not all going left, and they drive the country. So I think it's a small subsection. I think for this podcast purposes, it doesn't make a difference regarding investing. Even though we're moving left or the country's moving left, the millennial socialists, quote unquote, are moving left, keep investing. Congress and the political class are going to keep pushing the stock market higher. That ain't going to change anytime soon. That's the point I wanted to make about millennial socialists, if that makes sense.
I think that, she very well may have these strong socialist, even communist beliefs, But I think more so than that, she's focused on saying the scariest things that the right, that conservatives
Freaks them out.
That just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And like they just can't stop talking about it and give her endless press. She's essentially doing what Trump did, but from the opposite side.
The opposite direction, right.
Yeah, which I think is brilliant. Bernie Sanders is doing the same thing.
Right. You go extreme left, and hopefully they'll come just a little bit left, and
Yeah.
you get what you wanted.
You just get a shitload of attention.
Right.
Right. This happens every day in Mississippi, right, Lancey?
Exactly. Yeah, we're always out having socialist get-togethers.
Cross burning.
Playing bocce ball.
There was the KKK reference.
We're waiting for it. I feel like a white guy can say it more confidently than I can.
Is
You think?
that the only thing we're allowed to say?
That's it. I mean, it's
The KKK is our word.
You own it.
Bringing it back.
You own it.
I mean, it never left.
True.
You're the whitest person here, Kareem. Let's be real.
Yeah,
That is true.
there's a half Bosnian, half Egyptian,
Wearing camo.
wearing camo fatigues.
I just go with it, you know.
Boom.
At the beginning, you said his shirt was white.
Yeah.
That was
I don't know what I was seeing.
that's so camo you can't even see it.
I know.
Just blend into things behind me.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's I think that's millennial socialists. That's Mississippi.
Right.
Yeah. So.
But I mean, with the socialism, the further left you get, I mean, or the older people get when they have a few kids, they're bound to get a little more conservative.
I would think
And
family values and
right. So the millennials may be socialists now, but maybe in 10 years or
Right.
5 years, they might get a little more conservative. Bless you.
excuse me.
Bless you.
There might be a few more because I'm sick.
I couldn't tell.
You only get 5 bless yous, man. After that, it's on you.
Oh, snap.
You give them a whole 5. That's a lot.
Yeah, I'm generous.
Hey, conservatives go as people get. You're saying as people get older, they get more conservative, but that's definitely true for like family values and things like that. But is it true for like, economically speaking?
I think so.
You think so?
I think so, yeah. Well, because I think with most people, it's all right. With most people, I mean, you do, like, if you're going to have a family, you're going to have kids, and you have to get a little more conservative to take care of the kids.
Right.
You got to keep a little more money in your bank account. You got to...
But I mean, I guess what I mean from a domestic politics perspective,
Right.
Economics, like, yeah, I'm now that I have kids and I'm married and I have 3 kids, or whatever,
Right.
and 2 cars, I believe in capitalism more than I ever did before.
Oh, yeah.
Is that
That's true.
From that perspective, I'm not sure. It could, depending on if you're a Bezos type, if you're one of the producers, of course you feel that way. But if you're one of the have-nots, which is the majority of people, you may actually, as you get older, you get more economically conservative in your home, but you may actually prefer the government to give health care for all.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
You know?
It is funny that we're having all these debates about socialism on our iPhones with, that's a completely
Huge
capitalistic. Yeah.
Outcome of our capitalist
Right.
society, right?
But it's something that, I grapple with. I mean, because I think the argument for capitalism is that it drives and it makes people more, I guess, like, inventive, because it kind of feeds off greed.
Right.
Capitalism does, which is its Achilles heel also. Is
For sure.
Right. Is that everybody's getting so greedy, which goes back to your greed thing.
I mean, our economy and our capitalistic Western model rewards profit.
Right.
It doesn't reward if you help people.
Exactly.
It doesn't reward if you help the planet or the climate, or climate change or whatever. You don't get rewarded from that.
Right.
You get rewarded if you make money.
Exactly.
And so there's money's on the mind at all times. And so you got to be thinking, do I have enough? I don't have enough. Do I have enough? Be more greedy. Be greedier. Be greedier.
Right.
And I think that's kind of a big source of it. And I think the millennials are starting to pick up on that. And they're like, is this the best thing for us?
Right.
But
But the problem with socialist places in the past is that people have taken advantage of it. So you got a society where everybody's getting equal
like
treatment.
USSR or Berlin Wall,
well,
Germany.
that's communist.
Yeah. Is that what you're referring to?
Right. Yeah. But so like when you drift too far into that, then I think a capitalist would argue that a country doing that couldn't survive.
Right.
Because the
China
people,
today as well.
Because there's still people at the top, and they're just living even more lavish lifestyles while people in the streets are just starving at that point because they've lost all their power.
Wow. In that case, it's definitely not communist. It's not commonly equal
Right,
income.
it's not communist.
It's
yeah,
shifted into some ugly abusive
Right.
thing.
because I think socialism and capitalism all came from Karl Marx.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely communism from Karl
Right.
Marx, right?
Right.
Das Kapital.
But he died before that actually
yeah,
came out.
right.
So he didn't even see the beginning of actual communism in work.
Right.
But I think that there is a fundamental difference between communism and socialism.
Oh, okay.
But I
would
don't know
assume
what it
communism
is.
is further left than socialism.
Probably so.
Right.
Probably
Yeah,
so.
I don't-
or more
I also don't
radical. More radical, maybe.
Right.
I don't-
Anyone here know? Communism versus socialism? No. I know capitalism, just like Karl Marx was communism, capitalism was driven a lot by Adam Smith, who even in his book, The Wealth of Nations, he wrote that if everyone is just specializing in one little thing, like I make pinheads, if they become so focused on just making their wage from their boss or from the owner of the company, they're just going to become a wage slave. And they don't know anything. They're kind of a dud or a dunce, and they just make this pinhead, and they don't think for themselves. He's like, that's a risk too. And this is the guy who wrote a lot about capitalism.
Right.
So,
Well, I think that Karl Marx made a lot of things that like, oh, well, eventually a lot of the things he said was going to happen did happen or is happening right now, which is like, it's going to tear apart the family.
Yep.
And which is happening and has been happening.
Great point. Yep. I think where we're moving, frankly, is if you look big picture, is we're in a capitalist society, and it may be too capitalist, and we're drifting left. Maybe we don't go to full socialism or communism, but we keep drifting left, kind of like Canada, frankly, which is much more socialist than we are. I've lived there for a couple of years myself, and I'm not gonna lie, man, that country runs pretty damn good.
Right.
Like, they run great. I remember one of my biggest things I noticed was like the homeless people. They don't have like blood coming from their gums and like in really, really bad, uncared for condition. In fact, I used to walk down the street and there'd be like soup kitchens everywhere, like where there's a 7-Eleven, like on the retail street, on shops like Main Street. There'd be like a soup kitchen and just people walk in there and get free food. And I'm like, why doesn't America have this? And so people can just get a meal no matter what.
Right. That's interesting.
So I think that's where we're probably banking towards.
Yeah.
Something like Canada. Guys, we're out of time. That was business news and other shit. Our main man, Lancey Richardson, thank you for being here, brother.
Thanks, man.
Yahya Kareem, our millennial gangsters.
What's up? Thanks for having us.
All right. CB,
Yo.
producer of the year.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Adios, y'all.
Peace.